Hello, my name is Louis. I'm 24 years old and I was born and raised in Paris. As a Parisian, I was always raised in the city. I was exposed to the best you can find in Paris, I guess. I was in a family of, I'm still in a family of 4 kids, where our parents would bring us to the theater, would bring us to the museum, would expose us to art, to culture. At the same time, I was experiencing also the best from outside of Paris, because I had the chance to go often to Normandy, to go sailing or surfing, and would be also traveling around France. And I knew back then that being a city boy, I needed to be outside. I felt I had to live. I needed this contact with nature, and it makes total sense now when I realize how much I'm comfortable in an environment like this one. And I was also raised with values such as freedom being first, in the sense that defining who we are is maybe what's our motto in our family. In the sense that our parents would always leave us make our own choices and push us actually to find what's your own choice, which might sometimes be a lot of pressure, but eventually it allows us to make our own way, to build our own path. When I first left France for the Philippines 3 years ago, I remember we had a party at my home to say goodbye, and I had some friends from school, from HEC, but also from outside, from before, and it was interesting to see their reaction, because they didn't know either where I was going, they didn't know what was this organization, they didn't know what I was going to do, because I didn't know it myself. But strangely enough, they had enough trust in my intuition, strangely enough. I said, okay, if that's what you felt, then it must be where you have to go. And there was no question, strangely enough. And it actually inspired some of them, saying like, wow, you actually followed your intuition. And even now when I come back once in a while in Paris, I often hear this from my friends. Wow, you're brave, you're there, you're not in France. And it never sounded like that for me, because I just felt that I was just following the flow. It was not, I didn't feel like I was breaking anything. Or even if it was a choice, it wasn't, I wasn't leaving behind some friendships, or I wasn't breaking with my family to do that. It wasn't that brave, it was literally following the flow. And I guess this is also why people let me go, because they felt it came from something very intuitive and very me, if I could say. Gawad Kalinga in Filipino means to give care. It's an organization that was founded by Tony Miloto, a Filipino himself, in 2003, that has the ambition to end poverty in this country. So the target is to end poverty for 5 million families by 2024. The way for them to do it is a 3 times 7 years plan. The first is to give people access to food, access to homes, access to land, the basic needs. And that has already happened for more than 1 million people, in more than 3,000 communities. Because the way they do it is they build intentional communities to house those people. The second phase is to go into social entrepreneurship. This is the GK Enchanted Farm. The GK Enchanted Farm is a pilot. The objective is to build 25 of those. It's basically a platform that allows social entrepreneurs to build up their business because they have access to everything they need. The third phase is social progress. It's basically the phase when those social enterprises scale up in order for the poor people from the bottom of the pyramid to be able to be those entrepreneurs that will eventually hire hundreds of people and provide jobs in the province. So what sets Gawad Kalinga different from the rest is that it is strongly embedded in values. Because Gawad Kalinga is actually a movement in which the Filipinos redefine what it is to be Filipino. They redefine what it is to be the nation of the Philippines. And this is based on being your brother's keeper. This is based on no one left behind, which is walang iwanan. This is based on padugo, which is sacrifice for the cause, for the others. It is based on bayanihan, which is solidarity in action. So this is what sets Gawad Kalinga different, is everything is based on values. And when they build a community, it is first based on a set of values that everybody has to learn. And this is what now other countries are learning from the Philippines, whether it is Malaysia, Indonesia, or Cambodia. So the GK Enchanted Farm is this second phase of Gawad Kalinga that, again, this NGO that aims to end poverty. Gawad Kalinga Enchanted Farm's role is to build social entrepreneurs in order to fulfill that big goal. The way for the GK Enchanted Farm to do it is to actually change mindset of everyone in this country, if I could say. That's why we work with everyone. We work with the wealthiest, the richest, the most powerful. We work with the powerless, the least educated. But we also work with foreigners. We work with people coming from outside. So basically, my first role would be to influence and help change the mindset of the wealthiest, the top of the pyramid. And this happens through the fact that when they come to the farm, for example, we have families or companies or partners coming to the farm, I take care of them. I bring them around, I explain them what we do, and as much as possible, I share the vision with them. Because hearing that from a French, hearing how beautiful their country is from a French, is the first step towards changing their mindset that there's nothing to do anymore in the Philippines. Let's just send our kids, once they graduate, to the US. Part of the same role is also for me to give conferences along with Tony Meloto. The objective here is to influence the Filipino community abroad, but also to influence other countries, other nationalities to see the beauty in the Philippines and come and partner with us. My second job, I would say, is to be I'm the coordinator of the internship program here. So it means that if you go around the GK Enchanted Farm, you'll see about 20 to 25 young French, Europeans, but mostly French, that come here for internships from 6 months to 1 year. And they come here with a lot of expectations, and my role is to select them and to accompany them, to make sure that their expectations are fulfilled, but also they really play a role in the farm, in the sense that, again, they bring this value from outside, but most importantly, they build family bonds with the people here. My third role is to be a mentor for our SEED students. So SEED is the school that was started 3 years ago by the GK Enchanted Farm, which means School for Experiential and Entrepreneurial Development. It's a university for social entrepreneurs that is a 2-year course, a very intensive course where there's a lot of groundwork, and then there's 1 year of gap year. And at the end of those 3 years, you should be able either to support, either to find a job, sometimes it happens, even though it's not the most favored option, but most of them will actually put up the social enterprise. And then they join the incubator of the GK Enchanted Farm that supports the development of the social enterprise. And the way they're selected is they come from the poorest backgrounds. A lot of them would actually come from GK communities, so they are really coming from the bottom of the pyramid. And they are selected on their leadership skills, on their ability to work together, to work as a team. And maybe most importantly, they are selected on their real motivation to make the choice to build themselves, bring themselves out of poverty. Because basically, see, this university is a choice. It's saying, now everything is in your hands. You can be like your father, a tricycle driver, or a subsistence farmer, or you can make the choice to build your social enterprise, to build your future. Will you take that choice, or are you just joining the school for the scholarship? My last mission in the GK Enchanted Farm is to be running the social enterprise project that we call Freebirds. Freebirds is just started from my experience off the ground, working with the farmers in the field of chickens. I just arrived when I was 21 years old. I knew nothing about agriculture. I knew nothing about this country, about what the market needs. But I was immersed for 9-10 months with people who wouldn't speak a word of English. That's also how I was able to learn the language pretty quickly and understand what's the reality of the farmers in this country. And I realized how much the farmers here do a very low value added work, because basically their role is to get a loan from a loan shark to buy pesticides and fertilizers or feeds, and eventually use that on their ground and get the yield in the end. So the role of Freebirds and all the different social enterprises that we have in this country is to bring back the value added in the land. And this is crucial because that's why now you have such a huge urban migration of people leaving the countryside, because there's no money to make there, just to go back to the city. And the result is a country that cannot feed itself. And that's nonsense, because you have millions of hectares of underdeveloped land. You have amazing know-how and talents of farmers that are just dying with them because the average age now is 57 years old. So given this context, Freebirds has the objective to actually create a new breed of chickens, of crossing a native chicken that is resilient to the environment, that can be raised in very simple conditions, but at the same time provides this very specific, very peculiar local taste the Filipinos look for in their traditional dishes. But we cross this Filipino chicken, this native chicken, with a French chicken that grows faster, that is bigger, and remains also very tasty, which is from the southwest of France. So our goal is to free the farmers from their suppliers, from the loan sharks, in order for them to be able to feed their chickens with what they find around them. There's this quote from Albert Einstein that I really like. He said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." And that inspires me a lot, because that really shows the need for new blood to revive, to include the different generations in every project that we have, in every change that we are initiating. And that makes me also think that proves that there is a need for a new generation of leaders to rise. But leaders who are well mentored by older ones. And that's really what I see in this organization, in Gawad Kalinga. And that's also what, again, convinced me of the relevance of what's happening here. Is you have all the generations represented here. And that's why this organization is moving forward, because it is a movement that includes everyone, from the younger ones to the oldest ones. And see, I've just been here for 3 years, and they give me so much responsibility. And the fact that you bring in fresh blood, fresh ideas, fresh look, is also what I experienced when I started with farming, because I knew nothing about agriculture, I knew nothing about chickens. But the reason why I was able to do something that convinces people of our relevancy, that allowed me to be put on the front page of some magazines about agriculture, is not because I succeeded in something or I had the best chicken farm ever, but it is because I had made a choice, and because I was a total newbie in what I was doing. And strangely enough, it convinces people, because they understand that someone who's new will definitely do something different. Someone who has no background, no knowledge, no experience, if he's willing to learn, if he's curious enough, will actually be able to challenge what has been done so far.